Hi, and thank you for joining me. My name is Ines, and today I will be showing you the modifications I made to the Mosque SVG so I can make it into a layered design. So I knew that I was gonna try and stand my mosque up, and I wanted to give it some depth. So I knew that I wanted to make it into a layered design, and unfortunately SVGs do not come like that, or some do but not the one I got. So and I don't know of an SVG that comes in layers, but so I knew that I wanted it to have layers, so I had to modify it myself. Okay, so I bought the Mosque SVG from Creative Fabrica. I will be adding the list to this video, the link to the SVG. If you're interested in buying it, it was, I believe, $1. So I already uploaded my design. So I'm just going to go and add it to Canvas. Select it and just add to Canvas. And like just with any SVG, it comes in a group, so you have to ungroup it. Before I do that, I just wanna, I can change the size right now, or I can change it later on after I do all my modifications, but I want to do it now in case I forget something and I want to add it back to my canvas, so I know like what size it is. Plus I cut the white part out of 110 pound cardstock. I will be adding the link to that cardstock also in the video. You can either get it from like Michael's or Amazon. I'll be adding the list to the link to Amazon. Let me repeat that. So I will be adding the Amazon link to this video, but it comes in an 8.5 by, it's 8.5 by 11, and that's why I also wanted to have my width as 10. So I resized it, and then I will start my modifications. Okay, so the problem with an SVG is it comes in like every piece comes by itself. So if I like say right now, if I go ahead and send this design to Cricut, it will cut each and every individual piece by itself. Okay, so it won't be attached. It won't be attached to each other. Like, let me show you. So I'll ungroup it. So every piece is by itself. Okay, so this is by itself. These pieces are by themselves. So like even this. So if I'm gonna do it into layers, it won't work. Like I have to modify it. Okay, so I'm just gonna undo all my movements. So this is an extra piece that I don't need. So I know that I don't need it. So I'm just gonna delete it. Okay. When I looked at the design and knew that this is not gonna cut, so I just deleted it. Okay. And these will probably cut. These are like extra layers that will probably cut, but then I will have the hardest time attaching them. So I just deleted them because I didn't feel like they add much to the design. Okay, so I'm just going to delete those. Okay. And just like when you select, just make sure that you're selecting the right thing. I'm definitely sure that I'm gonna select things that I don't want. All right, so it's missing a piece. I knew I wanted a crescent, so I just added one of the crescents I have already uploaded. It's a crescent that I uploaded a long time ago. So I just went to my uploads and just added it to Canvas and flipped it horizontally, made it smaller, and then resized it. Okay, so when I separated it into layers, I did these not with the dome, but like I did these as this was my first layer, and I believe this was my second layer, and everything else was my third layer. Okay, another modification that I did, I made these taller and like these thicker because I knew they will not cut. I also got rid of these crescents because they won't cut. When I'm looking at my design right now, or like the mosque that I already made, for some reason these are not there. I think I remember vaguely cutting them, but I think I just forgot to attach them. So for the time being, they serve no purpose. So I'm just going to delete them, okay? I'm just going to delete them. Let's make sure that I only select what I want. Okay, so this keeps selecting the dome. I'll delete them later, okay? So I'm just going to attach this, or not attach it, weld it. And then put it on the side because right now I don't need it. These I'm also going to put on the side. And I remember that I changed my design to, I put these domes down here. So I changed it. So I had domes here and like the big one here and nothing else. These I made bigger and these were not. I just removed. Okay. So I'm going to put these on the side because right now I don't need them. They're just in my way. Okay. And you can keep this if you want, but since I didn't keep it, and it wasn't in my cut mosque, so I'm just gonna delete it for now. If you don't want to delete it, you can just do the modification, and when we do weld at the end, you can just weld this to it too. Okay, this is an extra piece that I don't need. I think they did it just for to add, I don't know, some shadowing maybe. So I don't need it, so I'm just gonna delete it for now, okay? All right, if I go ahead and tell it to cut, it will cut this by itself. It will cut these by themselves as an extra layer. I didn't want that in my design. I wanted these sliced out of my paper, okay? So what I did is, and since you can't select more than 2 objects to slice, I'm just gonna select these, weld them so they're one piece, and then slice them out of my square, okay? And then just remove the extra pieces that you don't want. So this and this. So now my windows, or whatever this is, they're windows probably, are cut out of my cardstock, and so this is empty, okay? So I'll do the same thing here. So you select them, you weld them, and then you slice them, okay? And then just remove the extra layers. Just make sure that you're selecting the right thing, okay? This, I'm gonna do it, so I also wanted this cut out. So I'm just gonna select these 2, weld, and actually I can weld all 4, and then I can weld these 2, and then slice them out of my square, or rectangle, or whatever this is. Rectangle, it's a rectangle. Okay, and I can remove the extra parts, okay? So like if I weld these, okay, so I wanted it to look like this, okay? So like a window or a door. I don't even know if I did it correctly, but this is what I did. Like, I don't know if I was supposed to, like, I don't know if these are windows. They're probably doors, because your mosque needs a door. Possibly the door is from the side. I don't know. But anyways, so this is what it looked like. But I knew, like, I have gaps here. So if I cut it, these will be floating and they will not be attached to anything. So to fix that, I just got a basic rectangle. I just made it super thin, so it's more of a thin line, and just added it here to the bottom. Okay, and that way I can get rid, and I can just weld it. So now this is what it looks like, and it's like a full piece. Okay. I also, like, if I send it now to cut, see this thin line, these will not be attached. So you have to select each and every one of them, and then weld it with this rectangle. So now it cuts like this, see, and it's one piece. You repeat the same process. It's very time consuming, and it's a tedious process, and you have to pay attention to small details. So like, say we weld this, okay? No, it welded correctly. Okay, good. Sometimes there's a gap, but this welded correctly, okay? Hold it with the bottom. Okay, so this was my first layer. I'm gonna keep it because I also need it. I think I moved it a little bit. Did I move it? Yep, I moved it slightly. Okay, so this is my first layer, but I'm gonna make a copy of it because I still need it also for my middle layer. And I'm gonna weld. And like I said, I've already made my design, so I don't need to save it. But like, if you're making your design, please save before you weld, because you won't be able to make any changes once you weld. So let's say I didn't make a copy and I just welded this, which is fine. I could have welded and then made a copy. But anyways, like, say this is my first layer, right? So let me just group it and hide it. So like, my middle layer is missing the middle piece. So that's the problem with an SVG. So I need a middle piece. Like, I need things to be at the bottom, otherwise I'll be attaching this to my front layer, and it won't look good, and it won't be very easy. Like, I have to know where it sits exactly and make sure that I glued it correctly. But I took a copy, and now I will use that for my middle layer as well. Okay, I think I will be able to explain it better once I'll be able to explain it better. Let me hide this again once I'm working on it. So same thing, I wanted these windows, and actually I really don't need to do this, and I'm not going to do it because, let me show you. So what did I hide? Okay, so I told you I changed where my domes are. So like this, no, it was the bigger one, not this one. This I attached to this layer, so the windows are already hidden. Okay, so I really, oopsie, so I really this is why you group. Okay, so I'm trying to select the dome, and it won't let me, just because that one was my top layer. So I just hit that. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete these because they're not going to show anyways. Okay, I'm just going to delete them and zoom in again. Okay, and like, if you look closely again, there's a line. So if I go ahead and cut it, they won't be attached. So just select these tiny little shapes and weld them. And you repeat it here as well. And you weld. now I can show a part that I hid. Okay, and attach. Not attach, weld everything together. So once I weld, I can take a copy. Okay, so one of the things that you need to pay attention to is these tiny, so I welded, right? But there's a tiny gap in here. When whoever made the SVG, I guess the spacing, there's a little bit of an extra spacing here. So it's an easy fix. Again, whatever you want to hide, you just get a basic shape and hide it. You just so whatever covers the area that you don't like, and then you just weld. So you'll probably have this little tiny piece, but it doesn't really matter because it's not going to show. Your dome is going to hide it. Also the layers, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to take a copy of this. And then send it to back. And then also make it slightly darker. Align the two. And see, I have two tiny, so I have two layers. And like all of these changes just for these two. But I have the two layers now, okay? So modifications I did to here, I also wanted these windows cut out of this. So I welded, and then I sliced, welded, okay. And then I sliced out of this. And then just remove the parts that are extra now. Same thing here. Weld, so they're one piece, and then slice, and then remove the extras. Okay, this I knew I wanted to cut out of gold, gold foil cardstock, and if I kept it the same, it will cut it into two pieces. So I really didn't want that, so I just welded and took a copy and did the same thing here. Weld, and then so I copied these two because I needed it. So I needed it to be in. Oops, I didn't copy. I needed it to be in gold, but I also needed, like, see if I remove it and I just say I just want to cut it into in gold foil, right? If I remove it from here, I have a gap. So I have to just make sure that you have like an extra layer, okay? All right, some modifications I did here were these I kept the same, but I should have made them thicker. They cut well, but while I was attaching the top layer, I kind of bent. I kind of bent it, so it didn't stand well. It was 110 cardstock, so that was it helped it to stay upright. But if these were thicker, it would have been more stable, I guess. It didn't give me a hard time. It was my mistake because I bent it while I was attaching the top foil layer. But again, if you make it thicker, it would look it would be sturdier, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but anyways, so we're just going to remove these because they are definitely not going to cut well. There's like a tiny piece that is not going to cut either. And this is how I made it bigger, okay? So I just selected these tiny lines, attached them, and then did an offset. Okay, and I'm working in inches, so you have to be careful of like what unit you're working with. So like say I did a 0.015 inch. I think it looks good. Like I think it is thick enough. So I'll do apply, and then I'll remove this. I really don't need it. Okay, and now I'm gonna take, well, not now, okay, and I'm just gonna make it taller. Okay, so I'm gonna unlock it because I don't want to make it wider, I just want to make it taller. So let's do 1.5. Okay, so 1.5, oops, 1.5 is kind of good enough. So again, let me group it because it's easier for me to move it later on. So again, we unlock it and we say, no, let's see the one. Nope, let's do 1.5, 1 point, let's do 1.25. Okay, I think this is good enough. Okay, so 1, and can get rid of this because they need to be symmetrical. Get rid of this. Just put it here. Okay, so this I need another copy of this because I'm going to cut it both in white and then layer the gold foil on top. So I'm just going to copy and paste, and actually they're symmetrical, so I'm just going to make 2 copies of it. And like if you're going to make these thicker, you can just follow the same process. So you just select them, attach them, and then do an offset. Okay, so now this is my last layer. Like see, if you hide this, these will be hanging like in thin air, and we really don't need that. I want it to be like structured. I want it to have a part at the bottom, because I can have it cut like this, but it's not gonna be sturdy enough to like stand on its own. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back and then select everything, and I need a copy of these too because I'm gonna layer the gold foil too. Okay, so all of these I'm gonna later on make the same color, so I can cut them out of gold foil, cardstock, and then I'm just gonna attach or like weld all of this. Okay, so this, I group these. Let me just group it because it's going to be a lot easier. And align center. So align bottom, and then align center horizontally. So this is what my mosque looks like now with all the modifications. I have this back layer, I have these, I have this that I'm gonna layer over here. I don't like the move forward, the Cricuts move forward, because it doesn't always work. I'm just gonna send it to front to get the idea. So these will be layered here. These will be sent to front. This will be here. This will be here, and then send it to front. Here. And these will go on top. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Okay, so you just layer. I used foam squares in between the layers. I showed, I have a reel on my Instagram that shows how I layered it, but I just used like the foam squares in between the layers, and these I attach. You can use the glue, or I used like the double-sided tape just because I was filming and I didn't want to wait for the tape to I didn't want to wait for the glue to dry, so I just used the double-sided tape and just attached it. So the last thing that I did with this SVG is, so I knew that I wanted to stand like, and I knew that I wanted it to stand on its own. So if I leave it like this, it's not, I have to like, I have to put something behind it to, I don't even know like how to explain it. Like, I don't know, there's a word that I'm looking for and I can't find it, but like it won't stand on its own. So what I just did is I just got like a rectangle, and just to the back layer, okay, I got a rectangle and just attached it to my mosque, welded. And now when I fold it from here, this will be the part that is touching your surface, so whatever it is. For me it was the mantle, and this will be standing. So this is the piece that is gonna help it to like stand on its own. Okay, so I hope that that made sense. If you have any questions, please write them in the comments. I did my best to explain what I did. If you you can at least like just copy what I did if I didn't explain it well. If you like this video, please subscribe and share. Please check out my Instagram pages. Thank you.